Now live, and I am pretty excited for this stream. I've been waiting for Fizban's Treasury of Dragons pretty much since it was announced. This is probably the most excited I've actually been for a book from a D&D 5th edition for some time. So in the stream, I'm basically going to be looking through the chapters that interest me. I have not had a look in the book at all yet, and I know quite a few people have got the book early and they've made some videos. I've seen some of the bits from those videos, but not too much. So this is pretty much going to be my first reaction to everything that I am seeing. And hopefully you can join me and we can go and have a flick through the book and see what we can find. And of course, if there's anything that you want me to look at throughout, do let me know in the chat. I don't know how long this is going to take. There's quite a lot in this book just by looking at the contents. I'm definitely going to be looking at the Draconic Races, seeing what they've added in there. The 2 subclasses as well. They've added one for the monk and one for the ranger. We're going to have a look at that. It looks like they've added some spells, magic items, and horde magic items. Not sure what horde magic items are, so we'll definitely have a look at them. And of course, going to be looking at the new monsters. I'm hoping there are going to be some really awesome dragons that have been added to the game. All of the stuff about the role-playing dragons, probably not going to touch on that in this video just because, you know, it'll end up being a 5-hour long video. So we're going to see how long we go for and what we are going to see. Let me switch the camera. So yeah, I'm going to be going through D&D Beyond, so you can watch as I go through it. And this is the contents. So okay, so it's split in a bit of a different way. So it's got the contents at the top here, and then below it's got the Draconomicon. There you go, it's got it in the end. The bestiary, which is all the new creatures. Looks like there are quite a lot of gem dragons, which is good. So yeah, I'm going to start with the new dragons because that is what I am most excited about. So let's jump into the new dragons. I think I can click here and it's going to show me. Okay, so it gives me A to C rather than the full shebang for some reason. But yeah, so we're going to go through every single, pretty much every single creature. Depending how many there are, I might skip over some, especially if they've been in other books in the past. But yeah, we're going to go see what they have added to the book. And yeah, I can already see some that I like the look of on the left here. Some of the Amethyst Dragon sounds interesting. I'm hoping it's got some sort of psychic ability. So there's no art for it. Or is the art? Ah, there you go. There's the art. That is cool. They're pretty beefy. Okay, and it looks like they've also got floating amethyst crystals around them here as well. So that's interesting. We'll see if that is something that all of the gem dragons have. If you're not aware, I did a live stream as well, just an 8-session mini live stream based all around the idea of gem dragons. So it's pretty cool that they've now actually added them into the game officially. And I have no doubt that their stat blocks are going to be very different to the stat blocks that I made gem dragons in my campaign. So let's have a look at the Amethyst Dragon. I'm only when there's dragons which have ancient, adult, and young, I'm just going to look at the ancient one and assume that the other two are the same, just less damage, which is usually how 5th edition deals with it. So the ancient gem dragon is a challenge rating 23 with a lot of hit points, 444. They've got damage resistances to psychic, so I am assuming their breath weapon is going to be psychic. They have legendary resistances. Doesn't look like they have the frightful presence that all of the other ones have. So they've decided to take frightful presence out for the Amethyst Dragon. We'll see if they do for the other gem dragons as well. Got Bite Claw like normal, and the breath weapon does a 90-foot cone, so a pretty big cone for the Ancient Dragon. Strength saving throw, and it does force damage. Okay, so I don't think any of the other current ones do force damage, so that is new. I like that it's a strength saving throw as well, because that's something that sometimes is overlooked. There's a lot of dexterity and wisdom saving throws in the game, not so much strength and intelligence saving throws. and then it does a lot of damage, as you would expect from an ancient dragon. And this I like to see. I think that they should have had more spellcasting dragons in the game in the first place. I usually add spellcasting to my dragons when I use them, but yeah, it looks like they've got psionic spellcasting as well, so a bit different than normal. So it's got some pretty good ones. Globe of Invulnerability is extremely powerful, so that's interesting. They get that as well. They get Sending, which is pretty cool as well, so they can talk to people. Blink. And I'm just going to scroll up. I'm not sure if they're running with gem dragons being good or bad. So I'm going to have a quick little skim through, see if there's anything that would make it obvious. Okay, so it doesn't look like there's anything obvious here that makes it good or bad. So let me know if somewhere else in the book that I haven't been to yet, it does say if they are like a good dragon type or bad dragon types, because generally chromatic dragons are evil and metallic dragons are good. Obviously in your world you can change that up and do with it what you will. But yeah, I'm interested to see if they make gem dragons one or the other, or if it's just a completely different thing. So what else do they get? So they get change shape. Okay, so they get pretty much a polymorph, which I added to all of my green dragons anyway. I like the fact that they could polymorph into humanoid. And it's got a teleport as well. And interestingly, these don't seem to use any. Oh no, they do. Sorry, I missed it there. So they're bonus actions. I was expecting it in the text, but it isn't in the text. It says at the top, so it can, as a bonus action, teleport and change shape, which is pretty cool. And in legendary actions, it can use the spellcasting or the psychic step, and it's got an explosive crystal. So it spits an amethyst that explodes. Okay, so it's like a fireball, but it's an amethyst, and it does force damage. It doesn't seem to do much force damage though. That's I guess it's okay, but yeah, it's not a load. It only does an average of 18 for using up all 3 of its legendary actions. I might have expected more, but it does have a dexterity saving throw to be knocked prone as well, which could be pretty nasty. Okay, let's look through then. As I said, I'm not going to have a look at the adult and young dragons. So let's go to the next one. An animated breath. What is that? So it looks like a dragon can make its breath weapon a manifestation of energy. Okay, so it's like an elemental, I guess. Yeah, it does say there, elemental. So it makes a breath weapon into a actual creature that has a CR and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. That definitely hasn't been done before, and you can see in this art it's made this little elemental here, and I'm assuming as a DM you can choose how it looks. It does say here that it's bipedal creature formed with the energy, but yeah, I could see this being slightly different depending on the dragon and what they're into. Let's have a look at what they've got then. So they've got some condition immunities and some damage resistance here. Chromatic 4. When created, the animated breath takes one of 5 forms, which are the 5 main damage types. And it determines the creature's AC, damage resistance, traits, and attack. Okay, so that's interesting. So as in cold form, it seems to have a higher armor class. Okay, so fire aura is in the fire form only. Each creature within 5 foot takes a little bit of damage. A creature that touched the breath or hits a melee attack gets damaged as well, which is pretty nice. Acid and poison forms, it can do, so they have to do a constitution save or be poisoned and take a bit of damage if they melee attack it. And then it's got multi-attack, 2 slam attacks, and it does damage based on the breath form. And then it's bonus action for the lightning form, where it can teleport, and each creature within 5 feet after it teleports take a bit of lightning damage. So challenge rating 6, so relatively low, but it could be a fun little minion to have while they're also fighting a big dragon. They have these little animated breaths running around. Aspect of Baham. Interesting. challenge rating 30. So, okay, for a second there, I thought they statted up. They actually had statted up Bahamut, but I don't think that is Bahamut. So, what is aspect of Bahamut? So, aspects display the full glory of the Platinum Dragon, towering over even ancient dragons covered in platinum scales. According to the scholars, different way. Okay, so it's not actually Bahamut's. I thought for a second they actually stand out Bahamut, and you could fight Bahamut and Tiamat. Well, they've already stand out Tiamat, but yeah, that would have been cool. But they haven't done that. It's often accompanied by 7 ancient gold dragons as well. Okay, so let's have a look at how tough this is. It is challenge rating 30, so it should be pretty darn tough. Okay, so that's if he charges. If the aspect would be reduced to 0 hit points, his current hit points total instead resets to 500. He recharges his best weapon and he gains any expended uses of legendary resistance. Additionally, the aspect can now use the option in the Mythic Actions section for 1 hour. Okay, so I like this. I'm glad that they're adding this officially to the game. It's the idea that when you get them to 0, it actually sort of levels them up, and now you're fighting a harder boss than before. I've done this a few times in my campaigns, and it works really well. So you've got multi-attack with Bite, Claw, which also has a Restrain, Tail, which has a Prone, Breath weapon, Exalted Breath. So 300-foot cone, which is massive, does each creature in that area of the aspect choice regains hit points. Okay, so it's actually a healing cone, which is interesting. And each creature in that area of the aspect that has been dead for no longer than 1 hour is restored to life. Very nice. And it's also got the Platinum Breath, which looks like it is the damage one. So it does a lot of radiant damage in a 300-foot cone with a very high DC as well. So that's interesting. It's got like a healing breath and a damaging breath. It's got the same chain shape that the Amethyst Dragon had, and it's got some basic legendary actions of attacking and doing some vicious bite. And then Mythic Actions. So this is if it gets dropped to 0, it comes back and it has these now. So the aspect manifests 7 spectral ancient gold dragons around himself to protect him. He gains 77 temporary hit points until the start of his next turn. So they are spectral ancient dragons. They're not actual ancient dragons, because that would be mental. And then he's got celestial lances, which 4 lances, enormous lances of magical force that plummet to the ground at 4 different points you can see, and it does quite a lot of damage for that as well. And Mythic Actions activated, he can use the options below as a legendary action, so it adds to the legendary action costs. Pretty nice. I'm going to go ahead and assume Tiamat is going to be similar, just yes, it has the exact same thing here. It's only got a damaging one. It doesn't have a healing one, obviously, because it is Tiamat, and it does on a fail save damage of a type that the aspect chooses. Oh, okay, so you can choose what type. So if you knew they had resistance to something, and it does a little bit more damage than the Platinum Dragon one as well. And then its Mythic Actions. Target a creature she is grappling, and the creature must succeed on a charisma save or be banished to Avernus. That is pretty nasty as well. So these are obviously going to be very high level challenges here, so you won't be finding these early on. Each creature of the aspect choice in the radius does the same throw or takes damage of the choice of the aspect as well. And then there is some pretty gnarly art. Tiamat style with the 5 heads, but it's just the aspect of Tiamat. Although it does have the same challenge rating as Tiamat. Tiamat is also a challenge rating 30, so it's pretty much like for fighting the same thing. The Tiamat stats are different to this one. Nice. Sounds pretty crazy. And there's another crazy one, challenge rating 27, so not much more, not much easier. Okay, so the ancient Chromatic Dragon. So this is a great wormling. So let's have a look at the art, 'cause that looks pretty awesome. It's like imbued with fire, and look how big it is over the towering city as well. So it's gargantuan. What actually is this? Like, why is this different to a ancient dragon? Great Wormings Ascension involves choosing the power of single dragon's echoes across the world of material plane. The black. So, okay, so it's basically just a bigger and better dragon. It has a very similar thing here, where it gets the Mythic Actions. Has a breath weapon, which is a cone that does a lot of damage depending on the color. Has the Arcane Spear and the wing attack that a normal one has, and Chromatic Flare, which once again just does damage of whatever color it is. So that's only slightly easier than the Tiamat and Bahamut ones, but still pretty nasty. It's just some good higher level ones here. It looks like there's a Crystal Dragon as well. So what do? They've got a charge breath of radiant damage, and it's also got some psionics here as well. And in legendary actions, it has a Starlight Strike, which releases a beam that does a dexterity save or does some more radiant damage. So pretty nice. It's only challenge rating 19, which is actually quite low for an ancient dragon. So they're obviously thinking Crystal Dragons are not as powerful as Amethyst Dragons, or a lot of the other dragons in the game. That's the only bit of art they've got here. Still good. Okay, so it looks like they are going with the theme of these floating crystals around them that aren't actually attached to their body. Okay, let's go to the next chapter then and see what's in here. So this is D. Thank you, Carl, for noticing the haircut. It is ready for Friday. Okay, so Deep Dragon. Challenge rating 18, so a little bit less than the Crystal. It's got Nightmare Breath, which does psychic damage with a Wisdom save and frightens them. It's also got Commanding Spores. Okay, so the whole flavor here is like spores in deep, which is interesting. Commanding Spores, so that does some damage on a Wisdom save, and a Constitution save will be poisoned, which has some pretty adverse effects. Does it have, there you go. I was going to say, does it have any art? That looks pretty terrifying. You would definitely not want to be fighting that underwater at all. Okay, on to the next one. So it looks like we've got quite a lot in the D here, because, you know, D for dragon. Draco Hydra. Holy moly, look at that. Draco Hydra. It's only a challenge rating 11. It looks like it should be much scarier than challenge rating 11. For each head, it has an extra reaction, which is nice. Heads, so all the heads do a cone of 33 damage of the chosen type. Okay, so it doesn't look like there's anything too crazy. So head falls off. If the head dies at the end of the turn, it grows 2 heads for each head that it died. So that's the exact same as the Hydra in the main monster manual. I would have expected it a lot bigger than this, you know. Dragon and a Hydra. Dragons are extremely scary. Hydras are extremely scary. And this is only challenge rating 11. It's still pretty nasty, and I'm sure it would be a pretty hard encounter for challenge rating 11. But yeah, they could have made that a lot scarier. Okay, let's look at some Draconians then. Look at this art. I knew the art in this book was going to be good. Everything about it is just aggressive and scary. So this is a challenge rating 4 Dreadnought that has multi-attack with some sword and tails, and it's got a shape theft. So after it kills a humanoid, it can magically transform itself to look like it, while we'll retain game statistics. Okay, that's interesting. I don't think that's a mechanic we've seen before, where when they kill something, they can actually become that in an illusionary sense. It's also got a death rose where it goes to 0 hit points. It bursts in flames and does damage around someone, which is a mechanic we have seen with some other monsters. A foot soldier, once again, really nice art here. Looks very mean. This is only challenge rating half. It has another effect where if it gets to 0 hit points, it releases some gas. They have to do a Constitution to be restrained and then maybe later petrified. And it's got just some basic attacks, so not too scary. I like the art though, and it is quite cool that they're continuing with this idea of if you get to hit to 0 hit points, something happens, which they're doing here as well. It's got some acid. Look at this. Look at this guy. Got a massive head. Even Infiltrator, he's CR3, so a little bit different. It's also got Glide, so when he falls, when calculated 4 damage. Okay, so it subtracts 100 feet, so it descends a little bit slower than the others. It doesn't have a fly speed. Do the others have a fly speed? No. So these cannot fly. And it has a multi-attack as well with 2 daggers and some poison in there for good measure. And then the Draconian Mage, once again, very aggressive looking dragon man here. It doesn't really look like your standard wizard or your standard mage. So this one does force damage, has the glide, it has some multi-attacks with the Triton, and it's got an aquatic ray, and in some pretty basic spellcasting. So this is challenge rating 2, so these are all 2nd level spells. No, this one's a 3rd level spell actually. Stinking Cloud, these 2 are 2nd level spells. Pretty nice. I'm really enjoying these art so far, and this is a Mastermind. So that one looks more like a lizard than the others. The others are quite obviously dragon in nature to some extent. This one that looks more like a lizard because it's not got any horns or anything off of its head, but still like it. I might even just use this art for a different creature than this one. So this one, when it dies, it does lightning damage and stuns. It's got some energy ray. It's got a breath weapon, which is a 15-foot cone. It's got some spell casting, and it's got a mage shield as a reaction, which is basically the shield spell. Challenge rating 6, so a little bit nasty, but not too bad. Let's have a look at the Draconic Shard. Okay, so this looks like some spectral type thing. So gem dragons will take a power. When it perishes, the force of the dragon's will and mind sometimes refuses to pass on. The essence lingers in a shard. Okay, cool. So this is challenge rating 17, incorporeal, so it can move through things. It's got rejuvenation here as well, and then it's got multi-attack 1, which is just a basic one here. And then inhabit object. The shard disappears as it pours its psychic essence into a medium or smaller non-sentient object it can see within 30 feet, which possesses it. Okay, so it's got a possessing here as well, which is pretty cool. So it's got fly, psychic crush, which is a cone that does some. It does actually quite a lot of damage there, 55, and stunned. That could be pretty nasty. And it's also got commanding thoughts, which charms it. Which, yeah, pretty nice. This art is pretty good as well. It's quite cool that it's got the swords there as well. Okay, Dragon Blood Ooze. Okay, so they've got a new ooze in the game with Dragon Blood. Challenge rating 5, this one. It's got some immunities up here. It's got Spider Climb. It's got all the normal oozy stuff. It's got the normal ooze attack here as well, which also has a grapple, but it does have a slime breath, which does acid damage in a cone. So also adding a bit of the dragon. Yeah, that's pretty fun. I don't know if I'd ever actually use that. Maybe that could be a thing of when you get a dragon down to like 50% of their health, it actually starts to drop these oozes on the ground that also help it in the fight. That could be quite a fun way to use that. Okay, so Dragon Bone Golem. So this is going to be a construct that is made out of dragon bones. And it looks like it's got a petrifying breath as well, which could be pretty nasty. So it does a bit of damage, but it restrains and petrifies. It is a challenge rating at 11. So by that point, hopefully, you've got stuff like Greater Restoration if someone does actually get petrified. And then it's also got a melee attack here that can restrain them with a strength check to get out. And a Fear Aura, which is sort of similar to the Fearful Presence of the other one. Nice, I like that. I can see that being used in my game. And then we're going into the Dragonborn. So it looks like these are going to be all Bahamut followers of some extent. So a gold Dragonborn there that has a long sword, has a bit of a healing touch, and a little breath of radiance, which is pretty nice. It makes sense, you know, follower of Bahamut, to have something like this in the game. So it's nice that we finally got that. It's got a Sardior, I think is how you say that, Dragonborn of Sardior. So this is got some Mind Blade, so it's a melee or ranged attack, which does quite a bit of damage, and it's got 30-foot cone of fire damage. Metal objects glow hot. Oh, okay, so it's also got the heat metal on it as well, and it's got some psionic abilities. So Big B's hands, hypnotic pattern, and telekinesis. Challenge rating 6. This one's a challenge rating 9. It's a slightly different, but I like that as well. This one looks much more darker and mysterious, as it is a Dragonborn of Tiamat. So it's got a great axe and it's got necrotic breath, which also frightens, which is pretty nice. It's interesting they've also given these legendary resistances, even though they're not technically legendary monsters, like they don't have the legendary actions part. So that's also pretty nice. Okay, Dragon Flesh Grafters. Place forbidden rituals to make skin. Okay, so they collect dragon parts. They stitch or implant these dragon parts, attempting to incorporate them in their own bodies. Interesting. Okay, so Dragon Flesh Grafter is a challenge rating 3, so pretty low, has some basic attacks, and an acid wretch, so it does a cone of acid damage. Okay, interesting. Dragon Flesh Abomination. So, okay, so they're basically slowly becoming more like a dragon by the looks of it as you go along, and I assume their challenge rating is going to get higher. So it's got basic claw attacks, acid spear, and acid belch, so nothing massive. It's also got this miasma, which can poison people within 5 feet. And then it's got followers, Dragon Blessed, which has a little bit of healing. I'm guessing this is based around Bahamut, this one, because it's got some healing and it's got some Radiant Bolt and basic mace attack. Challenge rating 5 for that one. Dragon Chosen, so Biting Rebuke. Immediately after the Chosen takes damage from attack, it can make a short sword attack with advantage, which is nice, along with some basic abilities. Dragon Speaker, so it's got disarming words. The speaker can roll a d6 and subtract, so that's like the cutting words from the bard, and it's also got some spellcasting and a thunderbolt here. Okay, so that's interesting. They are dragon followers, so people who work with dragons and get the benefit of having some cool dragony powers. Okay, so we got a Dragonelle. What is a Dragonelle? It looks like they are dragon riders. Okay, so they're challenge rating 2. They got flyby. It doesn't provoke opportunity attack, just like the owl. And it's got a rend attack that it can do twice. So pretty basic there. Oh, and dragon turtles. Oh, okay, so they've added in different types of dragon turtles. So there's an ancient dragon turtle now. Cool. I don't remember what the original dragon turtle had, so how different this is, but it looks like it's got the whole mythic actions added to it as well, which is nice. So when it gets to 0 hit points, it's reborn with this, which gives it temporary hit points and does lightning damage. It also has a steam breath, which is going to be fire damage in a cone, and it's got legendary action of boiling aura. So for the next turn, whenever a creature starts within 20 feet of it, it can take some damage. It's pretty nice. I quite like that they added that, because there was obviously just a standard dragon turtle, and now they have added the ancient one, which is nice. I do like a dragon turtle. Okay. I'm just going to quickly pop over to Twitter for 1 second, just to make sure. How is everybody doing? Let me know if you have this book and what you are most excited about by having the book. Okay. Great. Cool. Okay, so let's carry on then. So we got Egg Hunter Hatchling here. Okay, so they're like little insect-looking creatures that try to get into dragon eggs. Let's see how nasty. Yeah, they got false appearance, so they could be motionless, which is pretty nice as well. It's got barbed attack. The Egg Hunter regains hit points when it does that, and it's got spores, which is a radius, and it does a bit of damage. No, it doesn't do damage, it just does poison there as well. When the Egg Hunter takes damage, it gives itself resistance to that damage. Oh, that's pretty nasty. I don't think I've seen that before. Here we go, the Elder Brain Dragon. This was the bit of art that was shared early and has been thrown about quite a lot because it is horrifying. It is the thing of nightmares. So let's see how nasty it actually is. So it's got tentacle attacks for one, and it grapples. It's a little bit more powerful than the claw and bite attack. It's got Tadpole Brian Breath, which is a line, constitution save, psychic damage. While infested, it takes at the start of each turn. It repeats the same throw, ending in effect. Targeted, it ends or restores 40 points or more to tentacles. Okay, so it does recurring damage as well, which is extremely nasty. If it's set to 0, it transforms into a Mind Flare. Pretty nasty. You can, this could go very bad if you've been hit by this breath and then get hit to 0. You don't get any death saves anymore. You don't get anything like that. You are a Mind Flare, and the only thing that can help you is a Wish spell. It looks like it has to remain unconscious for so many hours, so you can use Revivify and stuff like that to bring the person back. But you have to do it quick, or they're becoming a Mind Flare. And it's also got the legendary action of if it is grappled, it can cast the target's concentration on a spell it has cast or an ability it maintains ends, and the target takes some damage. Okay, so that's interesting. So if someone is concentrating on a spell, it can end it and do a little bit of damage. Emerald Dragons. Okay, so they've got a little bit of a different look to them. They've got quite a long neck there. Let's see what they do. So they've got Warp Perception, so it can cast Mirage and Arcane. I haven't heard of that one before. Is that one that has been added in this? You make terrain in up to 1 mile square look feel of some other sort of terrain. Yeah, I think this has been added in this book. I haven't seen this spell before, so we're going to look at that later on when we go over to the spells. But it does have a breath weapon, which is a 90-foot cone with intelligence save and quite a lot of damage. Okay, and it also has a D8 reduction to the rest of its rolls on the attack rolls or ability checks for the next turn as well, which is pretty nasty. And then it also has some psionic spell casting here. Nothing too crazy, just some basic spells in that one. It's got the change shape and the teleport like the other ones had. And it's also got emerald embers, so it can make a flame around a creature it can see, and it has to do a dex save or get a load of fire damage. Thank you, Fry. I did hit 2K yesterday or earlier today. I can't remember which one it was. So I now have 2K subscribers. So thank you to everyone who has subscribed. It has been a good journey to get here. And we are now looking through this. I really like that art. I just think it looks so different to the other dragons. And it's got these wisps coming out. I really like that. Okay, let's have a look at the eye drake. So this is like a beholder / dragon by the looks of it. Pretty nasty combination there. It's challenge rating 8, so not too crazy. It does have the anti-magic breath though, which could be pretty horrendous. So every spell a third or less. Okay, pretty nasty. And then it's got some rays here, which I assume are all pretty similar to beholder rays. I like this. I had 5 minis actually on Sunday on my Ask a DM, and it was asked what is my favourite creature, and it is usually a beholder. So, you know, what's better than a beholder? Half beholder, half dragon. Maybe. We'll see. It's only challenge rating 8 though, so it's not too crazy. It's not too powerful. And that art does look a bit odd. Let's be honest. It is extremely bulbous and disgusting looking. Just like a beholder, I guess. Okay, so we got the gem Great Worm now. So we looked at the chromatic one earlier. This bit of art is pretty awesome. Look at the size of these little guys compared to this. They have no chance really, do they? Okay, so it's got the awakening and the oh no, that is different actually. So it doesn't get the it doesn't get the mythic actions by the looks of it. There's no mythic actions there. It just goes to those hit points. Right, let's see what it's got here then. So it's got a breath weapon of 300-foot cone, which does force damage, a lot of it, and knocks prone, which is pretty horrendous. It's got mass telekinesis, okay? So target any number of creatures and objects that it can see within 120 feet. And then they are restrained by the grip. At the end of the turn, it can move each creature and object up to 60 feet. It can choose any number of creatures restrained in this way and deal damage to each of them. That is pretty nasty. That is pretty nasty. I don't think we've seen anything on this scale of environmental control before. I might be wrong, but I don't remember seeing anything that can affect any number of creatures and objects within 120 feet. That's a lot. That's pretty nasty. It's also got some pretty cool spellcasting here as well. It's got time stops, even more nasty. So basically, you don't want to be fighting one of these anytime soon. And then it's got a psychic beam down here, which does some psychic damage. And it's got the chain shape and the teleport that the other one has. That's pretty nasty. That's some serious end game stuff going on there. It's got a gem stalk here. That's some pretty cool art. It's sort of half dragon made out of gems. So it's got a crystal dart, which is a ranged force damage attack. And it's determined by the kind of dragon that created the stalker what it does when it hits. And there's some quite cool ones there, actually. The stalker gains temporary hit points here. The target subtracts d4s. There's quite a lot to manage, maybe. See you later, Fryer. Thank you for 5 minis. Thank you for swinging by and saying hello while I have a look through this book. So yeah, there's quite a lot to manage as a DM here. I would say, I guess it's not too bad actually, because you're only going to be focusing on one of these. And it's also got a protective link, so the Gemstalker reduces the damage and the Gemstalker takes the damage. So that's if you're trying to, when a creature can see. Okay, so that's interesting. There are some abilities. The Blood Hunter has an ability like that, where it links to a Ghost Dragon. Interesting. So this would be really cool for a pirate-themed, ghost ship style enemy. Maybe there's a legendary Ghost Dragon that comes from the skies. Right, so what has it got? Incorporeal movement, obviously, and it's got terrifying breath, which does Constitution save or cold damage, and frightened. While frightened, creature is paralyzed. So that is pretty nasty there. It is challenge rating 17, so pretty high up. And that is some cool art there with the ghost ship style green ghost there. Oh, Jesus, that is a Horde Mimic. Challenge rating 8, so it looks like a Dragon Horde, but it's actually a Mimic that does some grappling damage here. It does have an AoE mist as well. Nasty, that looks pretty horrendous. That art is huge, so it has to be, I guess, to pretend to be a Horde. That's pretty nasty, and especially if that happened after they had already fought a dragon. They're all beaten. Maybe some of them are dead. And then, they think they're going to get their gold and this nice shiny sword on the top, but it's actually a Mimic that opens up with these gnarly teeth and tentacles and tries to finish you off because the dragon wasn't able to. Horde Scarabs. Okay, so they have false appearance, so they look So motionless, you can't see him. We got a bite and scaled dust. So it releases a dust, and within 5 feet of it must succeed on a dexterity or be outlined in blue light for 10 minutes. While outlined, can't benefit from being invisible. And every dragon within 1 mile of the creature becomes aware of it. Oh, okay, so if you had managed to sneak into the horde, these are like a backup trap that are going to release, release the spores or the dust, and then everyone's going to come and ruin your day. Nasty. And then there's a swarm stat block there as well. Hollow Dragon. Okay, so that's some cool art. So it doesn't actually have some flesh, it's just fire and armor. Challenge rating 18, reconstruction. So when it's reduced to 0 hit points, it doesn't actually die. Sapping presence. So you can make a choice of people within 60 feet. Wisdom save. They have disadvantage to the next turn. Okay. And it's got a breath of radiant damage. Ghostly binding. So that is strength save will be restrained. Booming scales. That is thunder damage in an AoE around it. Pretty nasty. I like the art. I like the idea behind it. I wouldn't have thought of something like this without seeing this stat block here. So I like it. Pretty nasty. I might have liked having some smaller than this one. This is huge. And challenge rating 18. It would have been quite nice if they added some like smaller versions of this that you could use earlier on, sort of as guardians or minions of something. But hey ho, you can always change it yourself. A lion drake. So this is part lion, part dragon. Okay, that's interesting. That's different. Challenge rating 7. It's got a blood chilling roar, so it does a roar, and then everything can be frightened or paralyzed. And it's just got bite and claw attacks. It's pretty basic from a stat point of view, but yeah, I wonder where the idea of that came from. Let's chuck a lion and dragon together. Okay, that's different. I guess we've done, dragon and Elder Brain and dragon and beholder. So, why not? Why not put a lion with a dragon as well? Okay, and then we've got another Great Worm here as well. So this one doesn't have any reference for the size, but the others have been Mahusive, so I assume that one is as well. It's got the Awakening here again, and it does have Mythic Action. It's got a Radius Sphere that does a bit of thunder damage. It's got the Elemental Breath, which is a lot of damage in a cone, depending on what type of metallic dragon it is. And it's got Sapping Breath, where it does a Constitution save, and on a failed save it falls unconscious for 1 minute. Nasty. So it's literally you do a save or you're unconscious for a minute. Pretty nasty that, but it is challenge rating 28, so it needs to be nasty. Okay, so I assume that's going to be the last of the Great Worms that we're going to see there. We've seen the metallic, we've seen the gem, and we've seen the chromatic now. Metallic Sentinels. Oh wow, okay, so these are like robot-y creatures made by metallic dragons. It's got challenge rating 4, telepathic bond with its master, and calming mist. Okay, so it can charm people in an area, and it's got some basic attacks there. That's interesting. And a warbler. So it's got some immunities, telepathic bond again, and calming mist again. So this is just a tiny. Oh, okay, so that's the bird, is it? Yeah. So they resemble songbirds, and then this one's the Peacekeeper. Okay, fair enough. I really like that art. It sort of starts to feel sci-fi when you add stuff like this, but yeah, I guess you can spin it however you want. You can keep it fantasy, or you can have it sci-fi. So let's have a look at what a Moonstone Dragon does. So here's a bit of art. Interesting. So Ancient Moonstone. So it's got a breath weapon of Dream Breath, so a cone, Constitution save, or fall unconscious for 10 minutes, or Moonlight Breath, which is line, deck save, and radiant damage. So that's another one where if you fail that save, you just fall unconscious. That's pretty nasty, but it is challenge rating 21. It's got some little spellcasting here. It does have a Vivify, which is quite good. And then it's got legendary actions. Okay, and then here's another little bit of art of it. Looks very elven to me. It looks like the type of thing you would see in an elven forest. I like it. It's cool. It's different. Sapphire Dragon. Okay, so let's see what you do. Here's a bit of art. It's got some tentacles and broken parts coming off of it there. That one looks a little bit nasty, a little bit more evil than the others. So it's a tunneler, so that one can buy, which is always difficult to deal with as a player. And it's got the debilitating breath. So it's a cone, con save, thunder damage, and incapacitated. So a lot of nastiness there, and it's also got some basic spell casting. It's got the same shape change and teleport as the others, and it's got telekinetic fling, so it can choose an object or creature of medium and smaller, and it hurls an object at a creature and does quite a lot of damage actually. 42 points of damage as a legendary action. Is pretty nasty. Cool. I like the art. I've said that a lot, I know, but I knew the art in this book was going to be pretty awesome. Okay, so this one is a Sea Serpent. So it is like, wow, that's pretty nasty. It's like a fishy dragon. Okay, so Jazzy Bazzy is saying look at the lair actions as well, because they're a big part of them. I have actually been just going past them. So let's look at the Sapphire one. So Awesome Thunder. So it does a big old thunder, constitution save. Oh, okay. So that is a big old range, 300 feet, constitution save, and stunned. So it can get the jump on you if you're doing that one. Beguile Whisper can do a whiz save, be charmed until initiative count. So they're all about really getting the jump on your characters so far. Shape the stone to open or close a passage through the wall. Okay, so it can actually, how I envision this one in the stone passage is that it can change its layer on the fly depending on what benefits it. So it can go through a wall and then close it up, and the players have to go a different, probably more dangerous way. Okay, thank you for that, Jazzy Bazzy, for letting me know about the layer actions as well. I had been just skipping over them and looking at the stat blocks, but it looks like they're pretty nasty, and then it's got the regional effects here as well. So every one of these will have these. I'm not going to go back and do the ones I did before, but any more in the future, I will have a look at them. So yeah, we were looking at the Sea Serpent, which has some basic attacks. It's got a Constrict here, which is grappled and restrained, which is pretty nasty, and it's got a cone of cold damage, breath weapon, and some legendary actions. Challenge rating 14, and yeah, that's pretty scary. If that came out of the water at your players, I'm sure they would be frightened of it. Okay, so we got a Topaz Dragon here. Let's actually look at the lair actions. So it's got the Beguiling Whisper one again. Cancellation, so it can choose an active spell of 5th or lower and end the spell. That's also an interesting idea. That just is able to stop the preparation that the players have done. It's got a negative energy infusion, so 2 creatures with a con save take some damage, and it infuses the lair until initiative count 20, while infusion lasts. Creatures in the lair other than dragon can't regain hit points. Okay, so it stops you being able to heal. Interesting. That's a really nice bit of art there as well. Very rocky bit of art. Is there any more art? Just a bit there. Okay, let's look at the stat block. So this one has a breath weapon, which is a 90-foot cone, and necrotic damage. It weakens it, so it gets disadvantage on strength-based attacks. So you don't want to be a barbarian facing this one, and you do half as much damage. Also has some pretty basic. Well, it's got the anti-life shell, but some pretty basic spell casting there as well. And then it's got a legendary action of 60 feet, takes necrotic damage. And if it gets hit to 0 points, it crumbles to dust, which is pretty nasty. So you don't want to get finished off by that ability for sure. Okay, that's the end of... Oh, is that the end of all of them? Yes, it is. Okay, so let me go back and have a look. So I really like that they've added gem dragons. I'm a big fan of gem dragons. As I said earlier, I did a stream which fan of gem dragons. I really like the aspect of Bahamut and Tiamat as well. They are extremely nasty, as well as the great worms. I do sort of feel like dragons had a feeling of, yes, they're late game, but they're still manageable. So adding the great worms and these aspects of Bahamut and Tiamat add another layer above ancient dragons, which is nice. I definitely like the Elder Bone Dragon. The Elder Bone Dragon looks horrendous in the art and is gonna be pretty nasty to have to deal with. And I do like that they've added all of the sort of Draconians. Sorry, they're pretty cool. And I like that they've added an ancient dragon turtle. So yeah, all good. I am a big fan. Not so sure about the lion drake. That just looks weird. My brain can't compute that. But that is all of the monsters that we can find. Oh, it's got a Draconomicon as well. So let's have a look at what that actually is. I assume it's just going to be a lot of lore-based information. Yeah, okay. So it looks like it goes through all of the different ones, and then it's got some adventure hooks and some personality traits. Talks about their lair. So this is sort of similar to Volo's, but all about dragons. This is going to be very helpful for DMs that need a little bit of inspiration and a little bit of help. And I myself will be looking for it. Some more art as well. I'm just going to have a very quick scroll through, and I'm just going to briefly stop on any of the art because the art in this book has not failed me so far. It's been pretty good. Okay, so it's got an ancient dragon turtle there. Good luck to the people on that ship. That's probably the end of you. Right, okay, so we have done the bestiary now. There's got some information about dragon layers and hordes there as well that we're not going to go through. Let's have a look at the Draconic Races, see what they have changed up here. So in the player's handbook, there's one Draconic race. Oh, okay, so I'm assuming they're just going to have a split between the chromatic, metallic, and gem. Jazzy Bazzy also gives suggested spells for the old dragons from the monster manual that didn't have it. Oh, okay, that's really good. So earlier, I don't think you were here, Jazzy Bazzy, but I said that I always add spells to my dragons because I feel like they're magical beings. They should have spells, especially green dragons. So it's good that they have sort of put that in the book as well. Definitely good. Right, so let's have a look at these races very briefly then. So it's a breath weapon, so you can take your attack action and exhale magical energy, increases. So I think this is all pretty much the same as the standard one, and it's got the damage types here. Oh, okay, so it's got Draconic gem Dragonborns as well that look pretty gnarly with their floating parts of gems around their heads. So they've got a breath weapon. They've got psychic. My brain's not working. How you say that word now? Psionic. There you go. Psionic mind. So it's got telepathy, and it can do a bonus action to have spectral wings as well. Okay, so it's a flying one, and then it's got different damage types depending on the ones. Some of which are different. So radiant, force, psychic, and necrotic are all different. Oh, and thunder, actually, because it's lightning in the chromatic ones. So some different damage types there. And then got metallic, which I assume are going to be the same. Yeah, so they're the same as the chromatic. But do they get anything else? So each creature in a cone will succeed. Constitution save or become incapacitated. Okay, so that's a pretty nasty breath weapon there. And repulsion breath, each in the cone must do a strength save or be thrown away. So it looks like at the 5th level you get a second breath weapon, which I assume is one of those two. Okay, so that's good that they've split that. In the player's handbook, there was just one type, and then you just had to choose and go from there. Jezebeli, the Dragonomicon is a great section to generate flavoured details and adventure hooks. to the specific type. Yeah, I really enjoy it when they make books that help DMs with inspiration and stuff like that. I think that is a really good way for them to go. I know they technically sell more books that have character options in it because, you know, there's more players than there are DMs by default. But, you know, I'm a DM at heart, so I like it when they help us DMs out with inspiration and stuff like that. Okay, let's have a look at these subclasses. I'm going to go over these quite quickly. I think there's only 2 of them. So there's a monk one and a ranger one. So let's have a quick little look here. So Draconic Presence, Charisma save, you can use your reaction to reroll. Okay, so if you do Intimidation, Persuasion, you can reroll. When you damage a target with an unarmed strike, you can change the damage type to one of the dragon damage types. You can speak Draconic. Breath, so is this yeah, so you can do a breath weapon at 3rd level here. Each creature gets your key save. Okay. Wings unfurled, so when you use Step of the Wind, you can unfurl Draconic wings. Okay, so you can fly. Okay, it's a little bit of art there, quite cool. Aspect of the Worm, when you analyze this point of fear as a bonus action, you can create an aura of Draconic power. For the duration, you gain one of the following effects: Frightful Presence, which I assume is going to be the same as the Dragon one, Resistance. Oh, it's just those 2, is it? Okay. And 17th level, Augmented Breath. So 1 key point, you can make it change it. Okay, or Blind Sight, Explosive Fury. Okay, so it seems very underwhelming, to be honest. To me, there's nothing there that I was overly excited about reading. It just seemed very, very basic, very underwhelming. Not sure if that's a great addition. I'll probably let my players play it, and maybe I'll be proven wrong. But yeah, that was pretty underwhelming, the monk one. Jazzy Buzzy is saying, I think it would be a lot of fun to have an episodic campaign of randomly rolling dragon adventures with those tables. Okay, and also saying that they actually nerfed it. So yeah, that's why it's a bit underwhelming, maybe. Okay, let's go on to the Ranger. Ranger Drake Warden. Yeah, Jazzy Buddy saying the base monk in general needs a lot of work. I agree. I really like the idea of the flavor of the elemental monk, but they just didn't manage to hit the spot with that subclass. So you get a Draconic gift. So this is the Ranger one. So you get one of the following: Thaumaturgy, or you can speak Draconic. Drake Companion. Okay, so it's like a Beastmaster, but with a Drake. I wonder if the Drake is better than... Okay, yeah, so this is what they needed to do, really, for the other one. So it's 5 times your Ranger level. Because the problem is, I've actually, in my current campaign, I have a Ranger Beastmaster. The Companion does not scale well enough. We're level 4 now, and the Companion is really struggling to just stay alive because it's got so little hit points and armor class. So yeah, stuff like this. Hopefully that scales well enough. I'm not going to do the maths, but hopefully that scales well enough to actually keep up and not die in every single session. Okay, so you can choose a damage type, has immunity, and when it makes an attack. Okay, so it does damage based on the Draconic Essence. Okay, so nothing too crazy about the Drake. Hopefully it actually survives. The bond you share, in addition, Drake summons, you gain the following benefits. Drake grows to a medium size, reflecting your special bond. If you're riding Drake, while you're riding Drake, it can't use the fly feature. Drake's Bite does an additional damage, and it has resistance. Okay, so that's all around the idea around scaling with you, which is good. That's what they sort of missed with the other subclass for Ranger. As an action, you can exhale a cone of damage, choosing whichever one the Draconic Essence is. Save takes 86. Okay, so that's a lot of damage there for Ranger that usually hits, 1 arrow at a time and does a lot of single target damage. It's increased to more when you get to 15th level as well. Okay, so that's pretty nice for them to have a nice AoE damage one rather than just their single target arrows or swords, depending on what you pick. Okay, so it reaches a pinnacle, so it can do more damage. It could be large or reflective resistance. Okay, so actually reaction to give yourself or your Drake resistance to that instance of damage. Okay, interesting. I like that one. I like that much better. I do like the idea of the Beast Master. I just don't think they've made it right in the player's handbook. This is basically a better version, but with a Drake instead of a lion or wolf or whatever it is you want. Okay, so Jazzy Bazzy says it follows the same design as Artificer, Steel Defender, and Tasha's Beast companions. Yep, that is true. Forgot about the Steel Defender for the Artificer. I like that it levels up with new features, although I think they should have allowed it a bit more of mounted flying. Yeah, I do agree. I think the part where you can start riding it was level 7. By that point, wizards have fly. Yes, yeah, wizards have fly by that point, and flying is just a thing in the game, so why not let them have it? Yeah, I do like it. I guess one thing here is that most of the features are about the Drake and not about the character, so it'd be interesting to see how much damage or how much impact the character has at the higher levels compared to the other rangers, subclasses. But you get a cool little dragon pet, so you can't complain too much. Draconic Feats. Oh, okay, so these are some more feats in the game down here as well. Cool. I don't think I'm going to look through them. We're going to go over to the spells now. I'm going to see how many of them there are. Okay, so there's only a few of them. So let's go through these spells and see what is here. So a Shardalon's Stride. So it is a 3rd level bonus action. So, okay, so Dragon Blast from your feet, granting you explosive speed. Your speed increases by 20 feet. And move it doesn't provoke opportunity. This is concentration for 1 minute. When you move within 5 feet of a creature on an object, it takes fire damage as a trail of heat. Okay, interesting. I don't think something like that's been done before, where there's like a trail. Okay, pretty basic, but I like it. 3rd level, get a bit more mobility. Draconic Transformation. So, with a roar, you draw on the hammer magic of the dragon to transform yourself, taking draconic features. You gain the following: so blind sight and breath weapon, and wings. Okay, so how long for? So it's only 1 minute. So this is quite a high level. Blind sight is quite useful. Breath weapon, 68 at 7th level for a 7th level spell isn't much, and wings. I guess it does do all 3 in one, so that's pretty good. But it's only 1 minute, and you have to have this statue of a dragon. They're worth at least 500 gold. First impressions, it's quite underpowered. I might be completely wrong. Maybe having 3 things in one spell is actually very powerful. But 7th level, by that point, you're doing some pretty gnarly stuff. So not sure about that one. Fizban's Platinum Shield. So duration 1 minute, concentration, bonus action, 6th level. You create a light that surrounds yourself, 5 foot. So cover. So the creature has half cover, damage resistance to all of these damages, and evasion. Okay, pretty nice. So once again gets multiple things for the 1 6th level spell, and all of them are gonna save your butt. And this one also, you need a 500 gold platinum plated dragon scale. Okay, Nafia's Mischief, I think is how you say that. So you fill a 20-foot cube you can see within range with magic. Roll on the Mischievous Surge table to see the effects. This is concentration 1 minute as well. The smell of apple pie fills the air. Make a wisdom saving throw, be charmed. Bouquet of flowers, dexterity saving throw, be blinded. Giggling creatures incapacitated. And drops of molasses hover in a cube, making it difficult terrain. Okay, interesting. So random tables, only second level, and there's some pretty. There could be some pretty good abilities there, but it is random. So you know you might get one that isn't useful for you in this time. And they're quite different. Like charming someone is very different to making difficult terrain. So yeah, there's a bit of risk there, but there is with all roll tables. So yeah, that one's not too bad. So there's a Psychic Lance here. You unleash a shimmering lance of psychic power from your forehead at a creature. Alternatively, you can utter the creature's name. Target must be making an intelligence saving throw or take a load of psychic damage and be incapacitated to the next turn. So that's pretty nasty, especially for a 4th level spell. Being incapacitated for a turn isn't good, especially if you're comboing that with, you know, like a monk that can also stun. You can pretty much put the big bad out of action for quite a while. Okay, so second level here, Binding Ice, which is a cone. So a burst of cone, each creature may take 3d6 cold damage. Be hindered by ice formations for 1 minute. A creature hindered by ice has its speed reduced to 0. Okay, so it basically stops it in its tracks. Sort of like these little adventures here that have all failed their dexterity saving throws, or constitution saving throw. Not good. Summon the Draconic Spirit. Okay, so you can call forth a Draconic Spirit. The creature is an ally to you. This is the spirit. Let's have a look at the stat block. So it's basically pretty basic dragon-y type spirit. It's got a breath weapon. It's got some rend abilities. It's got shared resistance, which is pretty good. And then it's got some resistances depending on what type it is there as well. Okay, so nothing too crazy here. They've added the idea of getting multiple things in one spell. I don't think I've seen that before. I might be wrong. I can't remember every single spell, unfortunately. But yeah, pretty nice. What are you all thinking of this so far? What's your favourite part of this book? I think for me, it's definitely going to beat the bestiary. There's nothing's going to be able to beat that, especially with the awesome art there. I am a big old fan of dragons. It looks like they've got quite a lot of weapons as not weapons, magic items as well. Just going to do a quick scroll to see if any of them are. No, it looks like they're all new as well. I'm not going to go through these items, but I am interested in what a horde item is, because that is going to be different to the magic items, I assume. So certain magic items can absorb the ambient magic of a dragon's horde. So the mightier the dragon, the more powerful the item becomes when it is steeped in the dragon's horde. Okay, so this one's going to be like empowered by the horde. I like it, and it's got the states here. So is the horde item? Yeah, okay. So it's sort of taking the idea of the exalted. What are they called? The ones from Critical Role, the ones that level up as you go along. I forgot what they're called, but it's taking that idea, but it's dependent on how powerful the dragon is that's the layer it was in. So, and then it gives you a few examples here as well. I wonder, are these the same? So if I pick one, let's go Dragon's Rough weapon. Is there a Dragon's Wrath here? No, okay. I was wondering if they were the same as the new magic items, and then they've just made it increase in power depending on the thing. Okay, so it actually looks like what they've done here is they've just given you a weapon and a focus and a vessel, which is like a drinking potion type thing, and an ornament, which is going to be your jewelry or something like that. That's it. Thank you, Jazzy Buddy. The Vestiges of Divergence have a similar thing where they go up in power. Not for the same reasons as these. It's slightly different, but I do like the idea that the same item can actually be different for two different people if there are two in the world. Cool. It looks like there are some Draconic Gifts here as well. So these are going to be bestowed upon people, sort of similar to some of the other gifts that I think they're in the DMG were the first time they were seen. I'm once again not going to go through all of these. I like the art though. Look at that. That's pretty. Going to be pouring acid onto her head for the dragon. Crazy lady. Okay, let's go back to the contents and see. I think that's probably where I'm going to leave it, because there's a lot, it looks like, for the dragons in play, how to role play the dragons and bits like that. I'm not going to be looking at the lairs and the hordes. Gone through the subclasses. We glossed over the Draconic Feats. Yeah, cool. There's also a table of quirks, says Jazzy Bazzy. There's some sidebars down here as well. Do any of them look interesting? So so these are going to be, yeah. So it looks like a lot of these sidebars are actually individual dragons, like named dragons. They might come into the dragons in play. Oh, that's some cool art again. And nailing it with the art. Okay. Oh, this looks like there's going to be so much information here. I like it. Talking about all the different things. Oh, look at that Amethyst Dragon ink. That looks so cool. That looks cool. I like it. I like all of this art. It's trying to prevent an agent of Tiamat from emerging. Nice. Hydecraft dragons adorn their scales with mystic words. I'm going to have so much fun reading through this, but I'm not going to do it on stream because that is not going to be fun for everyone just watching me read, because I wouldn't be able to read it out loud. But all of this art just looks so good. I hope the future books are similar in art style to this one. There's been quite a lot of books come out recently, but yeah, this was definitely the one I was most looking forward to. I was hoping it was going to give me a lot more tools at my disposal as a DM, and it looks like it's definitely going to. A little bit sad, I guess, that the subclasses aren't crazy, or there's not more of them for you players out there. But yeah, for the DMs, it looks like this is going to be a really good addition, especially if you want dragons to be a core part of your campaign. Jazzy Bazzy says that a lot of the art is actually reused from the Magic the Gathering D&D set. Oh, that's interesting. So I've never actually played. I'm going to make myself full screen now. So I've never actually played Magic the Gathering properly. I think I've played it around about 4 times. But I was very, very tempted when they did the D&D cards just to give it a go. I know I would like it. It's just a case of, having people around you that play it. I know there is the MTG Arena, I think it is, but yeah, I've never really got into it. Yeah, Jersey Buddy saying it's the Dragon DMG, basically. It looks like there's going to be so much for you to play with here if you want to. Unfortunately, my last stream game used Gem Dragons, so I probably can't reuse Gem Dragons for our next stream game. Yeah, I definitely should try out Magic the Gathering Arena. Give that a go, see if I like it. I think it's sort of same with Dungeons and Dragons. I think a good part of Magic the Gathering is getting around with friends and playing. And that's, the good part for Dungeons and Dragons as well. But yeah, I'll definitely try the online arena and see how it goes. Right. So I got Andreas asking what's the stats of the Gem Dragons. I've already looked through them. What I'll do though, I'll pull up one of them so you can have a look very quickly. Oh, wrong one. There we go. So let's pull up the Amethyst again. Let's have a quick little look just for you Andreas. So basically, they are all going through the same structure. So the normal dragony stuff you would expect, but with different breath weapons. So this one, the Amethyst one, has force and then has an additional thing on top of it. They've all got spell casting of some extent. They can all change shape and have a teleport, and then they've all got a legendary action that does a little radius bit of damage. That's pretty much the same for all of them. They have added, if I find one again, so they've added Great Worms, which also have mythic actions and are extremely powerful. This one's challenge rating 27. Yeah, Andreas, all of them have spellcasting. So some more than others. So I think the Amethyst, for example, actually has quite a lot. Whereas if I go to the Topaz, I think that one didn't have as much. To scroll for a bit. Come on, Topaz. Oh, have I gone past it? Oh, I went to the Draconian. 1 second. Let me find it here in the bestiary. So I think the Topaz, only had a few spells there, but all of them do have spell casting, and they have also Jazzy Bazzy let me know that they've added a way that you can add spell casting for all of the dragons. So you could have a green dragon with spell casting or a black dragon with spell casting if you like. So as Jazzy Bazzy just said, so even the standard, I guess you can call them, dragons can now have spellcasting if you like. You can add them on there. That's pretty cool. What I'll do for you, because I assume you've just come into the stream as I was finishing it off, I'll bring up the bestiary so you can see what sort of thing is in this book, so to help you decide if you want to buy it or not. So it's got the gem dragons. It's got these aspect of Bahamut and Tiamat, which are challenge rating 30 dragons, which are pretty crazy. It's got Great Worm of Chromatic, Metallic, and Gem, which are like around about 27 CR mark. It's got some quite cool, unique hybrids of monsters. So it's got the Draco Hydra, which is a Dragon Hydra. It's got the Elderbrain Dragon, which is an Elderbrain and a dragon. It's got a Lion Drake, which is a lion and a drake. It's got Ghost Dragon is in there. They've also added different levels of dragon turtles. So in the monster manual, there's just one dragon turtle, which is an adult dragon turtle. They've added in ancient dragon turtles and young and wormling dragon turtles. I think that's pretty much it. So they've also added, I guess, like followers of the different. So there's Draconians, and there's also the the metallic sentinels and stuff like that. So they're like followers or minions for the dragons. There's some pretty cool stuff in here. Oh, and there's this one. Can't forget this one. The Horde Mimic. Look at this guy. So imagine beating an ancient dragon, going to get the shiny sword on top, and a giant mouth and tentacles opens up, and you've got another fight ahead of you with challenge rating 8 Mimic. Pretty nasty, that is. So, it's got a load of really cool stuff, actually. I'm quite happy with what they've added here. There's nothing that I thought, it's a shame they didn't include X. They pretty much included everything I would have hoped and more. So there's also an ooze. They've made a new ooze as well. Andreas saying I love monsters so much. I'm primarily a DM. Yeah, I'm also primarily a DM, and I love dragons and monsters, so this is really good for me. It also follows new monster spell design. Most of what you'll see in the list will be utility spells, since core damage spells that affect the CR will not be shown in the stat block. In case you don't know, Jazzy Bazzy is bringing up there that they're trying to change it so a monster doesn't have a big old spell list and a DM has to go away and learn what the spells do and all of that stuff. They're putting it in the stat block what it does and trying to simplify it a bit more. So these dragons don't actually have that many spells compared to, if you look at the Archmage stat block, you as a DM, you then have to go and learn what like 25 different spells do before the session, because it's going to really break up the session if you have to sit there and read what a spell does or what 25 spells do, because you don't know. Oh yeah, okay, so Jazzy Bezzy actually brought up quite a good thing, which would have been nice. So I haven't looked through the whole book, so I don't know exactly every part of this book, but Jazzy Bezzy says, if I had something of, and if only they, it would be about dragon harvesting rewards. So yeah, that's a really good point. So I've done this in my games before, but I've made it up myself. It would be quite good if they gave you a DM tool, and the idea would be, you know, if you get a horn of a dragon, what can you do with it? Can you make it into a weapon? Can you harvest parts of their organs to put into potions, to make dragon breath potions? Scales, can you turn scales into armor and stuff like that? I've done that in the past because some players, you know, really enjoyed that part of the game. Some don't care so much. But yeah, that would have been nice. You're right, that would have been nice. So what are the new things about the green dragons? This is the dragon my players will be facing soon. So we didn't go through the whole Draconum, I can't say that word, Draconomicon, there we go. But I can see that it does say green dragons here. Let's have a click. That's just for you, Andreas. I'm going to go into the green dragon and we're going to have a little look here. So each of them have like role tables that will give you some inspiration as a DM. So this one's got personality traits, ideals. So this is the spell casting part that Jazzy Bazzy was saying about. So now green dragons, if you like, you can add these dragons, these spells. So invisibility, plant growth, speak with animals, mass suggestion. For the ancient one there. It's got some hooks. It's got some worming, well, it's got some connections here. It's got a map for the dragon lair. So if you need a dragon lair, you can just come and take this one out. And it's got some features. It's got treasure, what they'd likely see. So yeah, that's it. So really, from a mechanical point of view, all they've actually added is the spellcasting that you can add in. Jazzy Bezzy, the draconic magic items and gifts could technically be used as the final result, but it'd be nice to have a big old table for ingredients. Yep, completely agree. Basically a big dragon NPC generator. Sweet. What are the hooks again? Asks Andres. So by hooks, I assume you mean the adventure hooks. Yeah. So there you go. I'll put them up. I'm not gonna. I guess I could. You know, there's only 8. So terrorizing a forest settlement is the first one. Trolls attack a caravan, and give stuff to a green dragon. Cult captures travelers. Sorry. Convicted murder begs for charge. I'm not really reading these. I'm just sort of making noises while reading them in my head. So I'll just leave them on the screen, and you can read them yourself, Andreas. But yeah, there's 8 different ones here, and I think all of them have 8 different ones. So you know, if you want to be using different dragons, you got a load of adventure hooks here, and you've got the personality traits to give them a bit more life. That's something that especially new DMs forget to do. They forget to give personality to these monsters. So role tables like that are really helpful for people. Cool. I'm going to go off of this, Andreas, but you can obviously pause it or take a screenshot or whatever you want to do. I'm going to go back to the contents. Yeah, so that's pretty much everything. As I said, there is also a big area here about role-playing dragons. Dragon as monster. And all of the art in here is really cool. Andreas, it's a lot of info. I'll definitely buy this book just for the lore and hooks. Yeah, definitely. Especially if you're a DM, I would definitely suggest getting this book. It is going to be awesome for getting inspiration. In fact, let me be super duper cheeky here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put in the chat, and I'm going to put down in the comments an affiliate link to the book. So if you want the physical book, you can click the affiliate link, and then I get a very small kickback, and you don't have to pay any more. So let me see if I can quickly. I haven't prepared this, so let me research it and see how quickly. Yeah, perfect. It's right there. So yeah, let me chuck that in the thing. Why can I not get the link? Here we go. Okay, so let me quickly check that in the chat. There you go. So that's going in the chat, and I will put it in the description as well. But yeah. Yeah, and if anyone is still watching this at the end of the stream, I would really appreciate it if you could do that. I get a very small kickback. So that's cool. If you have enjoyed this as well, I have just got over the 2,000 subscriber mark, which is extremely exciting for me. So please do give the channel a subscribe. I do live streams every now and again, but I mainly do produce content to help DMs. So especially if you're a DM, hopefully there is some content on my channel, which will be good for you. So Jazzy Buddy, I think some people getting it for player content may be underwhelmed, since all in all it isn't that much aside from rewards, but as a DM book it's pretty great. Yeah, 100% agree. There's not much for the player here. I believe on D&D Beyond, which is where I got this book, you can still buy sections of a book. So hopefully players aren't actually going to buy the whole book if they don't want to know about the lore and stuff. They're just going to buy the subclasses options, so they won't waste too much money. But yeah, that monk subclass was really weak in my opinion. The ranger one was slightly better, but still not, nothing to rave home about. And there's only 2 for players as well, so there's not even lots. Cool. Thank you all for coming. I'm pretty much going to be shutting up shop now. Let me chuck it onto my big old face again. Thank you for coming. So every Sunday as well, I do an Ask a DM series, which is where I get a guest DM on and we answer your questions. We answer the community's questions. If you have any questions for that, go over to my Twitter or my Discord and then chuck me the questions. And then on Sunday, me and the guest DM will answer them. Or if you are able to come live, that is even better, because you can then chuck it in the chat and we can answer it straight away. So that's going to be my next live stream, and I chuck up some prepared content as well. So thank you for coming. Thank you, Andreas. Thank you for coming. It's first time for watching the stream as well. Awesome. Thank you for swinging by and checking it out. Go check out my channel to see what other videos I have as well. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you, Jazzy Bazzy, as well. You were here pretty much the whole time, which is awesome. We had some good chats, and you helped me navigate the book because you know it much better than I do. And anyone else that is there, yeah, make sure to give this video a like as well if you did find value out of it. I'd really appreciate that. But until next time, happy gaming.